Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today for another Twilight Zone video in my Twilight Zone ranking series where I rank every episode of the original Twilight Zone from my least favorite to my favorite. Today I'm going to be talking about number 72, The Shelter, written by Rod Serling and directed by Lamont Johnson. This is a season 3 episode, and as always there will be spoilers. So I think The Shelter is a very good Twilight Zone episode overall. It's certainly a character study, and it's certainly an episode that has a message and some things to say as well. And while not one of the more subtle episodes, I do think overall that it works. I think the episode feels a bit too stagey in parts, and the ending is only okay for me, but overall I still think this is a pretty strong episode. So one thing that's really good about The Shelter is that the acting is solid all the way around, led by Larry Gates as Dr. Bill Stockton and Jack Albertson as Jerry Harlow. But the whole cast, which is one of the larger Twilight Zone casts, does a solid job. So we start at the home of this Dr. Stockton. It's his birthday party. His wife and son are with him. There are also other families at the party, 3 other families, I believe. Where the gentlemen's names are Jerry, Frank, and Marty, and they have their families with them as well. And it seems like they know each other because Bill is all of their doctors, which makes sense. So things seem to be going well. Seems like a typical party when the discussion leads to a fallout shelter that the doctor has been building in his house. So, of course, this has meaning as suddenly there's an interruption and everyone hears a bulletin saying that there's going to be a nuclear attack. So everyone starts freaking out as the doctor prepares to move his family into the shelter. So now, of course, all the other families want to use the shelter as well. But Dr. Stockton tells them that there isn't enough room or supplies for everyone. He tells them they're free to use his basement, but they just can't come inside the shelter. So the doctor at this point takes his wife and son, and they lock themselves in the shelter, and everyone else starts freaking out. They start turning on each other, and some of the things they say are not too pleasant. But then eventually they start working together, and they try and break down the door of the shelter, and there is a lot of tension in this scene. It's very intense, I have to say. And then we get to the twist of the episode. We get another broadcast, and it turns out the whole thing was a false alarm. So everyone calms down, feels bad, and apologizes, but it seems like the damage has already been done in terms of the relationships between all of the families. And I have mixed feelings about the false alarm ending of this episode, The Shelter. It does do a good job of showcasing the themes of the episode, but it still feels like a little bit of a letdown, in my opinion. I get that it's more about the characters than the plot itself, but it still makes the whole thing feel a little bit stagey, at least to me. Still, The Shelter is a very well done character study and shows the darker side of how some people might react in a crisis. It is well acted, fast paced, and interesting to watch. So that's why for me The Shelter comes in at number 72. As always, feel free to leave me a comment on what you thought of this episode, The Shelter, if you liked it or not. Thanks for your support, and thanks for watching.